Dear listeners, we know we talk about loyalty like it's a switch you flip on or off. But what if it's actually something more complicated? Something that changes as we change, shaped by what we have been through and uh, what we are learning about ourselves right now. So today we are looking at loyalty not as a fixed promise, but as a something which is alive, something that deserves a closer look. So, hey, dear listeners, welcome back to another powerful episode of Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'm your host, Avik, and I'm really glad that all of you are here today. So, this is the podcast where we talk about mental health and well being in ways that actually fit into real life without the jargon, without the pressure, just honest conversations about what it takes to feel a little more grounded. And joining me today is a very lovely guest. Please welcome Elliot Sawyer. So, welcome to the show.
Hey, Ava, great to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Amazing, amazing. So Elliot, it's really great to have you here today. And before we start, I'll just request if you can just tell us something about you, your journey. So it will really be great for the listeners.
Yeah, thank you. First, I am a husband of 15 years. I'm a dad of two. I've got a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old. Let's see, I live in Denver, Colorado. I've been spent a lot of my time in a few different arenas: sales, business development, and then also a pastor of a church. I've given over 1,500 talks. I've spent over 10,000 hours guiding professionals, and spent a lot of time with entrepreneurs and um, senior leaders and foreign leaders and executives, and spent a lot of time coaching and guiding. And then have also influenced over 100 million in revenue throughout my career. And so all that now is coming together as I am a keynote speaker, author, and consultant for organizations.
Amazing. That's really, really amazing. And thanks so much for being here. And like, um, I want to ask uh, suppose when people hear the word loyalty, they often
Mhm.
think that it means sticking with someone or something no matter what. But that can get complicated fast. So, what do you think? What's the one common misunderstanding about loyalty that you think gets people into trouble?
One thing that I think that gets people in trouble when it comes to loyalty is when they think and they focus all of their attention and their efforts on what
Yeah.
they're doing rather than how they can serve the other person. We talk about this at nauseum, is that self-interest is the root of disengagement. It's the root cause of why people disengage from you. Psychology shows over and over again that people who have selfless motives actually draw people towards them and they build loyalty. People who lead and live with self-interest motives, it actually repels people from you and it causes disloyalty and disengagement. And so I think the way to articulate this is, if you really want to create lasting loyalty, is you have to figure out, how can I make my life and my intentions and my efforts and my actions benefit those around me, rather than just extracting benefit from them.
True, true, exactly. So when someone realizes that they have been holding on to that old idea of loyalty, then what's usually the first shift they need to make in how they think about it?
Yeah, the first shift in actually creating loyalty, and this is for an individual, a leader, an organization, a team, it really is universal across the board, no matter the entity. The first shift that you've got to make, and then we say this all the time, is that motives start in the mirror. You've got to start looking at yourself. You've got to look at, see what drives you. You got to look and see, what am I trying to gain from this? What am I trying to take from this? Rather, what am I trying to give to this and how am I trying to serve this? And so shifting motives is the first place to start. If you're really going to have a loyalty, or people are fond of you, or people favor you, or people really love you. That's the name of my keynote in my book, is called The Company People Love. If you really want to build this, then you have to start by looking in the mirror and say, am I doing what I'm doing for myself, or am I doing it for others?
So Oh, yeah. I mean, that's really very important. Uh, and loyalty is not about ignoring our own needs or pretending everything is fine, which is when it's not. I mean, it's more about being honest, even when
Yeah.
honesty is kind of say like uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Vic, I tell people this all the time
Mhm.
that building loyalty is actually really, really, really simple, but hard to do. And the one line that I say to people all the time, if you really want to build loyalty, again, it's simple but hard to do, is you put others above yourself. and and
Uh,
and living that way consistently, not perfectly but consistently, will build loyalty. If you can, and the one word answer is if you can honor people. If you can honor people with your time, energy, resources, attention, if you can honor people, then it's the fastest and surest way to build and sustain loyalty.
I agree. I totally agree. Yep. Yep. And okay, and like a lot of us learned that loyalty means from our families or kind of early friendships. So
Yeah.
sometimes those lessons kind of serve us well, and sometimes they don't. So what do you think? I mean, uh, what do you think shapes someone's core belief about loyalty? And uh, at the same time, it's like, why do beliefs sometimes work against us later on? What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reasons why people have experienced low loyalty or high levels of disengagement.
Hmm.
I think that people's personal experiences, what they've been through, often shapes their inner world, what they're looking for. If they've never really truly been appreciated, or if they've been neglected or abused, then they tend to be a defensive person. They tend to be a guarded person. They tend to be a person that isn't going to look to serve other people or to be generous. But
Hmm.
as you grow older in life, I think if you want to have loyalty and people really fond of you, you've got to break through those barriers. Even if some trauma or pain has been experienced early in life,
Yeah.
then you've got to face that stuff at some point. Get healing, get healthy. We're talking about healthy mind, healthy life here. You've got to get healthy in those areas, and then as you do, you can actually shift from
Hmm.
being guarded and just trying to get what you need out of life to shifting to how can I be more open? How can I be more giving? How can I be more of service to other people? And then you extrapolate that on a larger scale with organizations.
Hmm.
Organizations uh, are majorly
Hmm.
um, are majorly infected with the sickness that I call self interest. There's so many organizations that are in business or in whatever line of work they're in for their own interest. And the organizations that are the strongest and have the deepest loyalty are the ones that know how to honor their people, honor their customers, honor their stakeholders. And they realize, hey, whatever we're building, whatever service or product that we've created, it's actually not for us, it's for the people that we've created it for
Hmm.
and those who help build it. And then we can create loyalty because people are realizing, again, we're here to be of service. We're here to be of value,
Hmm.
not just to make money off of people or to leverage or take advantage or get what we need from people. So again, that self-interest is
Hmm.
is the seed that's in the human, but the human individual, but it also takes root in organizations and large enterprise companies and I would even argue in leaders and nations and countries. But when you make it about what you can get from people rather than what you can give to people, it's the shift. And again, people have had many reasons why they have self-interest. Again, it's usually associated with some sort of pain or some sort of
Yeah.
defense or some sort of thing that they've been through that they don't want to experience again. So they have a guard up. And
Yeah.
I would say again, when you can work through those things on a individual level, on a corporate level, you can start to see real breakthrough.
And you know, it definitely makes sense that loyalty can feel like an obligations that we never question. But if it's built on fear or guilt instead of
Yeah.
connection, then it's it's worth rethinking like what we are actually holding on to and why. That's my thought. I mean, maybe I'm wrong also, but what do you think?
Mm, yeah, yeah. What has been your experience, Avik, with loyalty? How have you seen it manifest?
So loyalty for me, it's something, it's a combination, I'd say for me. For me, it is something which you feel from inside. It's from the childhood, what you see, what you been through. So that is something for me. And I feel until and unless you feel that from your loved ones, from inside, uh, I mean, that is my feeling. Yeah, so it is all about the feelings like what we can bring from our childhood, what we see, what we feel from our families, generally about uh, friends, the friendship, the plans. Uh, uh, if you're working in office, then the teams. We wear the same badge. We are accessing same logins. But if uh, if I am sitting with but if I'm sitting with it like quietly for a moment and ask like what does it mean, then it is very complicated first because not always that sometimes the most loyal thing uh, I mean what I can do is to just leave the situation that was uh, slowly breaking someone whom I love, right? For me it's sometimes silence as well, like just being silent or uh, I think loyalty is it's a kind of commitment also, someone's truth as well. Like again, it's all the feelings and the beliefs that we carry from childhood.
Yeah. And then would you even say, to my point,
Mm.
that this can play out in organizations as well?
Yeah, yeah.
That there is a thing that can be extrapolated
Mm.
on a micro level to
Yep.
a macro level with an organization, a team, a country, a nation. You know,
Yes.
there's so many ways to
Mm.
apply this.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, one of the things
Mm.
when that you said kind of struck a thought for me
Mm.
is when it comes to
Mm.
using your life to the
Yep.
benefit of other people,
Yep.
it takes a great deal of healing and freedom to get to that point.
Mm.
You know, it actually takes being a healthy individual,
Yeah.
free from all of the insecurities
Mm.
that are in your life to be of service to someone else. And so I think that's why it's a little bit of a process. I don't think that we have to, it's an excuse to wait till build
Mm.
loyalty. But I think if we're going to look at it on an individual level,
Yeah.
that the healthiest people and the strongest people are the ones who actually use their life to be generous to others, to be of service and to be of value to other people, not using it for their own needs and desires. And
Mm.
you know, I think the weakest, unhealthy people are the most selfish people.
Yep. Yep. Exactly. Selfish people are definitely yes. I mean, there is a long story, but I don't want to mention here. But if you talk about that everyday part, everyday life of ours, uh, so how loyalty, or maybe how does loyalty or kind of misplaced loyalty show up in a ways that people might not even notice at first? I mean, sometimes what happens, right? We see that, but sometimes we ignore. Okay, it's fine. Yeah, okay, but we not even notice at first also. So life at work and friendship. What do you say? I mean, how we treat ourselves.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of ways that loyalty is misplaced or displaced. I think that when we live transactionally, whether again it's an individual, a leader, or an organization, when you carry yourself with a transactional mindset, meaning what can I do to get what I want from this person or from this other organization, that is going to break down over and over again. Maybe not in the short term, but eventually that will break down as living or operating from a transactional mindset. The second I would say is exploiting. When you say I'm going to exploit someone for their gifts, abilities, resources, or relationships for my own gain,
Mm.
that is one of the quickest ways to break down loyalty. And we see that over and over again. People are notoriously exploiting one another. We use people, we take advantage of people. We usurp power. We work angles. We use tactics. We manipulate. We leverage. We do these things, and it's sometimes in the business world, it's the mechanisms and methods that we're taught, and just say this is the cost of doing business. This is what it takes, but it's never going to form loyalty. It doesn't create loyalty when you exploit somebody or exploit another entity.
Hmm.
And I think the last one that comes to mind is having a taking mentality. What can I take from you? What can I extract from your life, your finances, your well-being? What can I take from you
Hmm.
that will again benefit me? And I think when you have a combination of those things, whether it's transacting, exploiting, or taking, those type of behaviors will break down loyalty over and over again. People don't trust you. People don't want to engage with you. People don't
Hmm.
want to do business with you if you operate from those places.
Got it. And what's a sign that someone might be confusing loyalty with something uh, which is not healthy, or like people pleasing? We often see, right, or a fear of change as well, and we might not mind. I mean, we often see this in office culture or the organizations. So I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I think one of the ways that people might misrepresent
Mhm.
or miscalculate loyalty is, if this is going to sound interesting, but or maybe a little odd, but I think that people would oftentimes measure success or results
Hmm.
and think that they're doing well, but they're not actually building loyalty, because you can have temporary success
Yeah.
without having long-term loyalty. So you could be experiencing some sort of success, whether it's personally or corporately, but that may be seasonal. It may not last. It may run out because people may need what you have for a moment, but they don't continue to come back to you because maybe they were mistreated, or they didn't
Yeah.
like the experience, or maybe they realize, hey, this company is just trying to take from me, or they're not actually serving what I'm looking for. And so success and results can often be a misguided measurement for loyalty. I'm not saying now. I will argue the other point, which is organizations and companies that do have loyalty will have greater long-term success. They will be the ones that outlast and outpace the market. Maybe not in a short term, maybe not in a season, but
Yeah.
over a long period of time, they will win out. And that's why companies, organizations invest billions of dollars to
S-
create loyalty, because they know that loyalty is something that they have to have. And they know that it's not just short term, but again, they can be blinded by short term success or near results. So there's a fine line between, hey, what we're doing right now might be working, but is it going to be building long term success? And the same is true for a leader. A leader might get results. A leader may move people. A leader may make things happen without actually building loyalty.
Extremely true. It's very deep. So I want to ask you one more thing is, like, we are talking about loyalty in, I mean, everywhere. We talked about the office part as well, but um change is really kind of, it's a very straight line. I mean, it's a really a straight line. So someone might commit a healthier loyalty, but then it is quite possible that again their old patterns come back, and the relationships also kind of start testing. So how do people sustain this shift over time, like especially when it gets harder for them to manage?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think consistency is something that we have to learn how to
Mm.
accomplish. I think that when you're trying to build loyalty, and you may not feel confident that you can sustain it over a long period of time, I think that consistency is something that has to play in. Now, one of the best ways to continue that ongoing loyalty
Mm.
is through honesty. I think that sometimes, whether it's an individual or an organization,
Mm.
if they're leading with honesty and transparency, that people will be more understanding than they think. What I mean by that is sometimes people think when they make mistakes that they're going to lose everything. Now, we all make mistakes. We all make bad decisions. We all make poor choices.
Mm,
But transparency, when we can have humility to say, "Hey, this was a mistake," or "We did this wrong." I love doing studies on companies that have made mistakes, and then they're we always teach our teams, do the next right thing.
right,
And they would do the next right thing. And honestly, those moments where it seemed to be a big problem actually became a major opportunity. I'll share one with you. This is
sure.
in the United States, uh, a company called Johnson and Johnson. In the
Mm,
1980s, Johnson and Johnson had a major issue with their medicine Tylenol. Tylenol is a
mm,
prevalent. It's probably you probably have it in your country, but Tylenol is a prevalent medication or
mm,
medicine that you use for a headache or pain, or
mm,
it's a pain relief medicine. Well, in the 1980s, there were in Chicago there were 8 people that had died when they had taken Tylenol. Now it was found out that those particular bottles had been poisoned. Someone had put arsenic in those bottles. They did not come to the store with the arsenic in it. It happened after they had been shelved.
mm.
Well, even though that was the case, Tylenol pulled some 36 million bottles
Oh,
of Tylenol. They recalled across the country, and they lost $100 million over this. And it wasn't even their problem. It wasn't their fault. It was someone else had contaminated this particular medicine.
yeah,
But Tylenol knew that we need to have the right reputation with our people. And so they pulled all this medication costing them $100 million. Now, you would think a decision like that would be costly and devastating and they could never recover. However, people found out, the news spread that Tylenol had done this even though they weren't at fault. And the result of that was they grew like 5, 10, 20x because of this, because people said, oh, they are trustworthy. They actually look out for us even when it costs them. That level of sacrifice is something that actually benefited them, not in the short term, but the long term. And Tylenol is still a household brand here in the United States because Johnson and Johnson said we're going to sacrifice this short-term issue, this short-term problem, for a long-term reputational thing. We're going to do the next right thing.
yeah,
And so I think when you look at a story like that, we can apply that on a personal level, which is when we make mistakes, can we own it?
yeah.
Can we be authentically transparent? Can we be honest? Even if we weren't at fault, if it was under our umbrella, like Johnson and Johnson, even if we're a leader or we're an organization and there's something that has gone wrong,
Mm,
can we honor people and put their needs above ours? And when you make decisions like that
yeah.
consistently and over time, Avic, you have loyalty. You don't have to work for it; it's given to you.
Wow, that's really amazing, I have to say. So, uh, I mean, if you have to give one advice today to the listeners, what would you give?
Yeah, I would say if you really want to build loyalty, you've got to put others above yourself. That's my thread through my keynote, my book, everything. But if you really want to build loyalty and you want to be a person or a company that people love,
Mm,
put others above yourself. The
sure.
people that are most endeared and the most cherished and the most treasured are the ones who utilize their life, their abilities, their talents, their resources for the benefit of other people. The ones who are generous, the one who add value, the ones who have service. Those type of organizations or people or leaders are so well loved, are so well respected, are so endeared and cared about because people know I can trust this person. This person looks out for me. This person lives their life or does their business in a way that benefits other people. So again, to just reiterate that if you really want to create loyalty, find how to honor people. Find out how you can honor those around you.
Mm, okay. And if listeners wants to connect with you, how they can connect?
Yeah, you can go to elliotsawyer.com. I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, just Elliot Sawyer. I've even got on my website, if you go to elliotsawyer.com/trust audit, I have an assessment there that allows individuals and organizations to understand what level of trust they have, whether it's internally or externally with customers. And so that's a great assessment. If people just want something, a free resource, they can go to elliotsawyer.com/trust audit.
That's amazing. Amazing. So, listeners, what I'll do is I'll put all the links, details, everything into the show notes for you, easy reference. And I'll just say, like, real royalty is not kind of a blind thing. It's intentional, honest,
Yeah.
kind,
Yeah.
even when that means letting go, right? So, I'll definitely thank Elliot. Thank you so much for being here and sharing this perspective of yours into this conversation. It definitely gonna help people, I believe, and uh, for all the listeners, I mean, thank you so much for being here today. And uh, loyalty is not something that we figure out once and then forget about it, but it's something that we keep learning. Uh, it could be from any age of yours. There is no restriction. So it's something that we keep learning, adjusting, choosing as we grow. And I hope like this conversation gave you something to think about it, maybe something to try, and a reminder that being loyal to yourself is a selfish thing. It's necessary.
Yes. Well,
Like
thank you,
reflect.
Avic, for having
Yeah,
me. I hope this really encourages and blesses your audience.
definitely, definitely. I say, and I'll just request your listeners like, um, just take care of your mind, take care of your life, and this is your host Avik, and this is Healthy Mind, Healthy Life. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much.